what people want to know what we learned in DIS. Like, what have we done here?
What have we done? What have we learned?
Those two things might be different.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe.
Hopefully the idea is that we're applying what we've learned.
Right.
But at least for the last few, specifically DIS classes that I've taken, I understand that we're supposed to be getting a social science perspective on all the design that we're doing. So we should be able to understand where, in a sense, industrial designers have come from out of the Industrial Revolution, what their role is today, and how that fits into everything else. But we should also understand how these other disciplines like engineering and management and communications fit in, and how what we do with the product development cycle affects the people that are going to be using those products afterwards.
Right. And that's what makes us stand out, is that we already have experience working with people who are doing engineering, communications, management, business. It's like a totally different environment than like just industrial design or...
Yeah, I think in one of the first DIS classes that we took, the professor actually told us, you're supposed to be, part of what you're learning here is how to be a go-between between like the more technical sides and like the industrial designers, the artists, whoever is the more artsy type.
Really, translators.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Translators is a
what
good
it
word.
actually means is that the product should be, manufacturable. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Now we're keeping on budget. That's fine.
I don't know. I don't want to undervalue the projects that we do. I mean, yeah, we work with a lot of different people, and we do have this sort of intellectual perspective. But just having done projects every year, every semester that we've been in RPI, that's something that a lot of different degrees don't get. Just working actually in the field, trying to develop these ideas and concepts, and having taken lots of concepts, lots of problems, and have brought them all the way down to the testing phase numerous times. I just don't see people in other engineering or management or comm areas getting that kind of experience.
You're totally right.
There's one engineering design course, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's very true from our experience so far that practice is the only thing that makes perfect.
Right.
So we've learned a lot of theory,
Right.
but application is really hard. So going in with having 4 years of this practice already underneath us, it's been like we've had this introduction to industry, to the product development cycle that we're going to be working in, that a lot of people aren't going to be coming out with.
Yeah. Plus, like, not every project we do is like a smashing success. So it's like, you like learning through failure is super important, and like this is a good place to do it. Not like we fail our projects, but like, it's like I remember our project when we made this owl that was like supposed to teach you. Yeah, it was like catchphrase, but the educational version, and we spent like the whole project brainstorming and banging our heads against the wall, and like we didn't really come up with like anything to show for ourselves because we were just like, it was all in our heads. So like it's super important to brainstorm, but it's also important to like start moving, and we just never really like got together and like went forward.
One of the projects that I did in the group was the life raft, which was supposed to be interlocking units, and we went through 10 designs, and we like got through several prototypes, and including like a very final version of a prototype before a week before the project, we realized, wait a minute, this doesn't work. So we scrapped it. In our final presentation, we had little pipe cleaner models. But we learned so much from that, and had we done that project again, we probably would have been able to do it faster. So again, it's that experience.
So get that
Get that pipe cleaner model out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say get used to failing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like you're not going to fail ever
That's a
once
good
you're out.
point.
Yeah.
That's what really bothers me about the engineering design courses, because they have like all engineers, they have to take the one design course while they're here, that they have to do a project. And they try so hard to walk the engineers through so that they never fail, that they've never done a project that hasn't worked out, and learn for themselves why you have to do these things, why they're important.
Do they? I haven't had ID yet, but it seems like to me that they go straight to the technical,
Right.
as opposed to like we do prototyping, we do sketches, we actually
Yeah.
think, will it work, rather than just sort of putting everything into that final technical and then trying to fix it.
Yeah, I think other majors or just other people don't like spend enough time brainstorming. It's like when you're writing your college essay, it's like or any essay, you wanna spend the most time thinking about what your thesis is, like what point are you trying to get across? And then, even if you only have like a day or maybe a little more than a day, but like if it's better to maximize the amount of time spent brainstorming. Because if you have a really good idea and you understand the problem that you're solving, you understand the user, like the rest is cake, But if you haven't spent the time thinking about it, it makes everything so much more difficult, and you end up with something that you're not very proud of because it doesn't really do the job it's supposed to do.
You end up having these sort of quasi-brainstorming sessions in the middle of development. Like, what are we going to use for this thing? I don't know what we're going to use. I got to think it out now because we got to get moving. That's not going to work.
Right.
And there are a lot of things that we do that we've learned to do from failing that other engineers think is ridiculous. Like when I suggested in my group, they couldn't figure out just how we were going to build this, and my introduction to engineering design that maybe we should try making out of cardboard instead of jumping straight to steel. They thought it was ridiculous. I was like, how is it ridiculous? You learn how to put it together. You
Right.
look for potential flaws. Like, it's way... I don't understand, like, how they can just...
Justify.
Right.
Right, it's interesting, like, the intuition that we have. Where, like, something like that, it just seems logical, like, why don't we just build this out of cardboard before we, like, waste a bunch of money and materials?
I've used junk I found in my room to stimulate materials, like, stretchy book covers, and I needed something elastic. Go for it.
Exactly. You're not always going to have, like, a $5,000 development budget to buy all
And
of
your
the
employer will be happy with you if you don't put $5,000 into it and then find out you could have found out it didn't work with cardboard.
Right.
Remember the Studio One prototypes that we had to do?
Oh, gosh.
I made them out of Pop-Tart boxes. Like, this was in
Right.
pans. Like,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't work. Like, you can't have a box that looks like that. Now I know it. So I'm not going to go, print it out on the 3D printer and, spend $100 on it because...
And the cool thing is that the professors, like, understand that, It's like, that's what it's about, is like, figuring this stuff out without wasting a bunch of time or money.
Exactly, because some of the professors that teach the engineering design courses, they've not been out in the field. They're not really inventors. They're not really designers. They have the best academic understanding they
Right,
could
they have the
possibly
brains.
have. But you don't have like Swersey, who knows that if you're going to do something completely nutty, you have to make it out of cardboard. You have to
Dry it, you go to cardboard, you go to clay, then maybe you go to more
Then you go to the hard
material.
materials.
So,
Yeah.
I want to defend the mechanical
Okay.
engineering professors a little bit. Like, they're not incompetent. They are very good at what they do, and
Yeah.
their understanding of a development process from a research perspective is fine because you don't want to model something with such a high precision out of cardboard. Like, you can't have an atomic force microscope that you're modeling out of clay and pens and stuff. Like, yeah, you can get the basic idea down when you're just talking to someone before you go and you purchase all this stuff, but there's a lot more refinement in their development process that we're not seeing because that's not the direction we're going.
Right.
So some people need to do that.
Yeah.
That's fine. But that's not the direction that we're going in studio, and it's important to recognize that it's a different set of skills.
Yeah.